My neighbor told me he was glad he got to meet my brother today. I don't have a brother, but my wife seems happy for some reason. My neighbor caught me at the mailbox on a Tuesday afternoon. Hey, didn't know you had a brother, he said, grinning like we were sharing some inside joke. I glanced up from sorting through bills. What? Tall guy, brown hair. Helped your wife carry in groceries earlier. Seemed like a good dude. I laughed. I don't have a brother. His smile faltered. Oh, well, he was there. Saw him myself. Maybe around 2. Carried in like 3 bags. Chatted with her on the porch for a minute. Probably a delivery guy or something. Nah, man. They were laughing real comfortable. Figured it was family. I shrugged it off, but the details stuck. Brown hair, tall, comfortable. That night I brought it up while washing dishes. Casual, like it was nothing. Neighbor said he met my brother today. She was wiping down the counter. Her hand stopped mid-swipe, just for a beat before she laughed. What? You don't have a brother? That's what I said. But he described some guy helping you with groceries. She tossed the rag into the sink. Oh my God, that must have been the cable guy. I told him the living room outlet wasn't working. He probably grabbed a bag on his way in. Your neighbor's so nosy. Her voice was light, but her eyes didn't quite meet mine. She turned toward the fridge, opened it, stared inside like she'd forgotten what she wanted. Cable guy, huh? Yeah, I scheduled it last week. Did I not mention it? You didn't. She pulled out a water bottle, twisted the cap. Well, it's fixed now. Problem solved. I nodded, scrubbing at a plate that was already clean. Something about the way she said it felt rehearsed, like she'd been holding that explanation ready, but I let it drop. What else was I supposed to do? Accuse her of lying about a cable appointment? Still, the unease followed me upstairs. I brushed my teeth, climbed into bed, and stared at the ceiling while she scrolled through her phone beside me. The light from the screen made her face look unfamiliar in the dark. Did you change your shampoo? I asked. What? Your hair smells different. She set her phone down. It's the same brand I always use. Huh, must be me then. She rolled over, facing away. Good night. I lay there, eyes open, replaying the neighbor's words. Comfortable, laughing, 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. She'd been home all afternoon. I remembered because she'd texted me around lunch asking if I wanted her to pick up dinner. Normal. Nothing strange about that. Except the cable guy thing. She hadn't mentioned any appointment, and our outlets were fine. I turned onto my side, trying to quiet the noise in my head. Maybe the neighbor got it wrong. Maybe she really did forget to tell me. Maybe I was being paranoid over nothing. But when I closed my eyes, all I could see was the half-second pause before she laughed. The way her hand froze on the counter. The way she wouldn't look at me when she said it. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was imagining things. But somewhere in the back of my mind, a door had opened, and I couldn't close it. The next morning, I stood there staring at it, holding the carafe mid-pour. We had 4 mugs total. 2 blue, 2 gray. This one didn't match anything. She came downstairs in her robe, hair wrapped in a towel. Where'd this come from? I held up the mug. She glanced at it, barely pausing. Oh, I bought a few extras last week. Target had a sale. You didn't mention it. Didn't think I needed to. It's just a mug. She poured herself coffee into one of the gray ones, leaned against the counter, scrolled through her phone. Casual, easy, like nothing in the world was wrong. I set the white mug back in the sink and told myself to let it go, but I didn't. That afternoon, I came home early. She'd mentioned running errands, so the house should have been empty. It wasn't. I heard the shower running upstairs. Again, I climbed the stairs slowly, each step louder than the last. And when I reached the bathroom door, I saw 2 sets of wet footprints on the tile. One small, narrow, hers. The other larger, wider, not mine. I stood there, staring at the floor, my chest tight, my hands clenched at my sides. The water shut off. I heard her humming softly on the other side of the door. I turned and walked back downstairs before she opened it. When she came down 20 minutes later, dressed and smiling, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open, pretending to work. Hey, you're home early, she said, breezy, like it was a nice surprise. Meeting got canceled. Oh, well, perfect timing. I was just about to start dinner. She moved around the kitchen, pulling out pans, chopping vegetables, humming that same tune from upstairs. I watched her hands, steady, confident, not a flicker of nerves. Did you shower twice today? Her knife paused mid-chop. What? The floor was wet when I got home. Thought maybe you showered earlier too. She laughed, light and dismissive. I did a workout this morning. Took a quick rinse after. Why? Just asking. She resumed chopping, her rhythm unchanged. You're acting weird. Am I? Yeah, like suspicious or something? Did I do something wrong? I shook my head, closed my laptop. No, forget it. But I didn't forget it. I couldn't. That night, I went into the bathroom and opened the medicine cabinet. My cologne bottle sat on the top shelf, same place it always was. I picked it up, felt the weight of it, half empty, maybe less. I'd used it twice that week, maybe 3 times. It should have been nearly full. I set it back, closed the cabinet, and stared at my reflection in the mirror. My face looked tired, hollowed out, like I hadn't slept in days. Downstairs, she was watching TV, curled up on the couch with a blanket. I sat down beside her, and she leaned into me, resting her head on my shoulder. Love you, she murmured. Love you too. But the words felt like they belonged to someone else. Someone who didn't notice wet footprints or extra mugs or cologne that disappeared too fast. On Friday, I told her I'd be working late. A project deadline, I said. She nodded, kissed my cheek, told me not to stress. I left at the usual time, drove around the block, and parked 2 streets over. Then I walked back. The house looked normal from the outside. Lights on in the living room, her car in the driveway. But there was another car parked out front. A silver sedan I didn't recognize. I stood on the sidewalk staring at it, my pulse hammering in my ears. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe she'd invited someone over. Maybe I was losing my mind over nothing. I walked up the driveway, slow and quiet, and peered through the kitchen window. She was dancing, actually dancing, barefoot in the kitchen, laughing at something someone said. And there, leaning against the counter with a drink in his hand, wearing my hoodie was a man I recognized. Not a stranger, not some random cable guy. It was him, the guy from the company event 2 years ago. The one who'd worked in marketing before transferring to another office. The one she'd introduced me to at the holiday party. Smiling too wide, laughing too loud at his jokes. I watched them for 10 seconds, maybe less. Long enough to see the way he looked at her. Long enough to see the way she looked back. Then I opened the front door and stepped inside. The music was still playing. Something upbeat. Something I didn't recognize. They didn't hear me at first. I cleared my throat. The laughter stopped. She spun around, eyes wide, mouth open like she was about to say something but couldn't find the words. He straightened, setting his drink down, his face going pale. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. I looked at her, then at him, then back at her. She started crying before I said anything. Just tears, streaming down her face, her hands covering her mouth. I didn't yell, didn't throw anything, didn't demand an explanation. I just walked to the counter, pulled off my wedding ring and set it down next to his drink. I see where your intentions lie. Her voice cracked. Wait. I didn't wait. I turned and walked out the front door, down the driveway, past the silver sedan, and kept walking until I couldn't hear her calling my name anymore. I kept walking until my legs burned, until the streetlights blurred together, until I couldn't remember which direction I'd gone. Eventually, I found myself at a park 3 miles from the house, sitting on a bench under a tree I didn't recognize. My phone buzzed, then again, then kept buzzing. I pulled it out. 17 missed calls, 23 texts, all from her. I didn't open them. I turned the phone face down on the bench and stared at the empty playground in front of me. A couple walked past with their dog. They glanced at me, then away like they could tell I didn't belong there, like I was something broken that had wandered too far from home. When I finally went back, it was past midnight. The silver sedan was gone. The house was dark except for one light in the upstairs bedroom. I parked in the driveway, sat in the car for 5 minutes, and tried to decide if I was ready to go inside. The front door opened before I could make up my mind. She stood in the doorway, backlit, her face in shadow. She didn't say anything, just waited. I got out of the car and walked past her into the house. She closed the door behind me, her voice soft, almost pleading. Can we talk? Not tonight, please. I kept walking up the stairs into the guest room. I closed the door and locked it. She knocked once, twice, then stopped. I heard her footsteps retreat down the hall, heard the bedroom door close, and then the house went silent. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall until the sun came up. The next morning, she was in the kitchen making breakfast. Pancakes, my favorite. The smell hit me the moment I came downstairs. She turned when she heard me, her eyes red and puffy, her smile forced. I made coffee too, the good kind. I poured myself a cup and leaned against the counter, saying nothing. She set a plate in front of me. 3 pancakes, butter melting on top, syrup drizzled just the way I liked it. I know you're upset, she said quietly, but can we talk about this, please? I cut into the pancakes, took a bite. They tasted like nothing. There's nothing to talk about. Yes, there is. You don't understand what you saw. I saw enough. Her voice cracked. He's just a friend. He came over because I needed help with something. That's all? Help with what? She hesitated. The kitchen sink. It was leaking. I didn't want to bother you at work. So you called him? I didn't know who else to call. I set my fork down. You could have called a plumber. Easier. Yes? I stared at her, waiting for her to break, waiting for the truth to spill out. But she didn't break. She just stood there, trembling, tears sliding down her cheeks. Why was he wearing my hoodie? She blinked. What? My hoodie, the gray one. He was wearing it. He wasn't. I saw him. You're mistaken. I'm not. She wiped her face, her voice rising. You're imagining things. You're stressed, you're tired, and you're seeing things that aren't there. I picked up my plate, dumped the pancakes in the trash, and walked out of the kitchen. She didn't follow me this time. For the next 3 days, she was everywhere, asking about my day, offering to make dinner, suggesting we watch a movie together, smiling too wide, laughing too loud, touching my arm whenever she walked past. It felt rehearsed, like she was performing a version of herself that didn't exist anymore. On Wednesday night, she made lasagna, another favorite. She set the table with candles, poured wine, and sat across from me with that same forced smile. I thought we could use a nice dinner, she said. Just the 2 of us. I took a sip of wine. Sure. She talked through the entire meal. About work, about her sister's upcoming birthday, about a sale at the furniture store. Her voice was bright, animated, desperate. I nodded along, barely listening until she said something that made me stop chewing. I was thinking we could take a trip. Just us. Maybe next month. Somewhere quiet. A cabin, maybe. I set my fork down. Why? Because we need it. We need time together. Away from everything. Away from what? She reached across the table, her hand covering mine. Away from the stress, the routine, all of it. I feel like we've been drifting and I want to fix that. I pulled my hand back. We're not drifting. Then what's wrong? You tell me. Her smile faltered. Nothing's wrong. I'm just trying to what? Distract me? She flinched. No, I'm trying to reconnect with my husband. I stood up, pushing my chair back. I'm not hungry. Wait. I left the table, left her sitting there alone with her candles and her wine and her lasagna, and went upstairs. That night I heard her crying through the wall, soft, muffled sobs that went on for hours. I didn't go to her. On Friday, the neighbor caught me getting the mail. Hey man, haven't seen you around much lately. I forced a smile. Been busy. He nodded, leaning against his fence. Your brother still helping out over there? My stomach dropped. What? Your brother, tall guy, brown hair. I saw him again the other day. Figured he was staying with you guys or something. I stared at him, my mind racing. When? Tuesday, I think. Maybe Wednesday. He was leaving your place around lunchtime. What was he driving? Silver car sedan, nice one. I nodded slowly, my throat tight. Yeah, thanks. I walked back inside, my hands shaking, and found her in the living room folding laundry. The neighbor mentioned seeing my brother again. She froze, a towel halfway folded in her hands. What? He said he saw him leaving here, middle of the day. Silver sedan. She set the towel down, her face pale. I don't know what he's talking about. He described him perfectly. He's confused. He's not. Her voice rose, defensive now. I don't know what you want me to say. Maybe he saw someone else. Maybe he's mistaken. I can't control what your neighbor thinks he saw. I stepped closer. Was he here? No. Are you lying to me? She looked me straight in the eye, her jaw set. No. I wanted to believe her. Part of me still did. But the other part, the part that had seen the footprints and the mug and the cologne, knew better. We should go away, she said suddenly, her voice softening. Like I said, a trip, just us. We can leave this weekend. Get out of here. Clear our heads. I don't want to go anywhere. Please, I think it would help. She didn't answer. She just stood there, trembling, her eyes pleading with me to drop it, to let it go, to pretend everything was fine. I turned and walked upstairs, leaving her alone with her folded laundry and her desperate plans. That night, I lay awake in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. The mug, the footprints, the cologne, the silver sedan, the man in my hoodie, her tears, her lies, her smiles that didn't reach her eyes. She wasn't trying to fix us. She was trying to buy time. Friday afternoon, I told my boss I had a dentist appointment and left 2 hours early. I didn't plan it. The lie came out smooth, automatic, and he waved me off without looking up from his computer. I drove home on autopilot, windows down, radio off, my mind blank, except for a low hum of dread that had been building all week. When I turned onto my street, I saw it immediately. The silver sedan, parked 3 houses down, engine running, windows tinted dark enough that I couldn't see inside, but I didn't need to. The angle of the mirrors, the way it sat slightly crooked against the curb, the faint shimmer of exhaust in the cold air, it all screamed intention. I pulled into my driveway and cut the engine. For a full minute, I just sat there, staring at my own front door, trying to decide if I was ready for whatever was waiting on the other side. The sedan didn't move. I got out of the car, locked it, and walked toward the house. My keys felt heavy in my hand, each step louder than it should have been. The front door was unlocked. I pushed it open slowly, the hinges silent, and stepped inside. Music was playing upstairs. Something soft, instrumental, the kind she used to play when she wanted the house to feel cozy. I set my keys on the table by the door and moved toward the stairs. Halfway up, I heard laughter. Hers, light, genuine, the kind I hadn't heard in weeks. Then his, low, easy, comfortable. I stopped on the landing, my hand gripping the banister so hard my knuckles went white. The bedroom door was cracked open, light spilling into the hallway. I stepped closer, quiet, deliberate, until I could see through the gap. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, her back to me, wearing one of my old t-shirts. He was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, smiling at something she'd just said. The same man, tall brown hair, relaxed like he'd been there 100 times before. He reached over and handed her a glass of water, his fingers brushing hers, and she smiled up at him in a way that made my chest feel like it was caving in. I pushed the door open. The music kept playing, but everything else stopped. She turned, her face going pale, the glass slipping from her hand and hitting the carpet with a dull thud. He looked at me, then at her, then back at me, his expression shifting from surprise to something closer to resignation. "You're home early," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't answer. I just stood there, staring at the two of them, waiting for someone to say something that made sense. "Yeah," I said. "You should go." He moved toward the door, but I didn't step aside. He stopped a foot away from me, his eyes meeting mine for just a second before he looked down. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. I didn't respond. He squeezed past me and disappeared down the stairs. A few seconds later, the front door opened and closed. She stood up, wrapping her arms around herself. "It's not what you think." "What do I think?" "I don't know, but you're wrong." I walked over to the window and looked down at the street. The silver sedan was pulling away, taillights fading into the distance. "How long?" "It's not like that." Her voice cracked. "A few months?" I turned to face her. "A few months." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "But it's not what you think. We're just friends. That's all. I swear. Friends don't sneak around." "I wasn't sneaking. I just didn't want to upset you." "Upset me?" "Yes, because I knew you'd react like this." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Like what? Like someone who just walked in on his wife with another man? He's not—" She stopped herself, shaking her head. "You don't understand." "Then explain it." She sat back down on the bed, her hands trembling. "I've been lonely. You're always at work, always tired, always somewhere else. And he listens. That's all. He listens to me. So you invited him into our house, into our bedroom. We weren't doing anything. He was wearing my hoodie last week." She looked up at me, her eyes wide. "What? The gray one. I saw him wearing it. That wasn't him." "Yes, it was. You're imagining things." I stepped closer, my voice dropping. "Stop lying to me." She flinched, fresh tears spilling over. "I'm not lying. I'm trying to explain, but you won't listen." "I'm listening. You're just not saying anything worth hearing." She stood up, her voice rising. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to act like the victim when you've been checked out for months. When was the last time we had a real conversation? When was the last time you asked me how I was doing? When was the last time you told the truth?" She opened her mouth, then closed it, her face crumpling. I turned and walked out of the room. She followed me downstairs, her footsteps quick and frantic. "Where are you going?" "Out." "Please don't leave. We need to talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about." She grabbed my arm, her grip desperate. "Please, I'm begging you, don't do this." I pulled free and opened the front door. "I love you," she said, her voice breaking. "I love you, please." I stopped my hand on the doorknob and looked back at her. She was standing in the middle of the hallway, her face red and blotchy, her whole body shaking. For a second, I almost stayed. Then I thought about the sedan, the laughter, the way she'd smiled at him. I walked out and closed the door behind me. This time, I didn't come back. I drove to a motel on the edge of town, checked in under my name, and sat on the bed staring at the wall until my phone started buzzing. I turned it off. The room smelled like stale cigarettes and cheap detergent. The TV didn't work. The faucet dripped every few seconds. seconds, a steady rhythm that made it impossible to think about anything else. I stayed there for 2 days. On Sunday morning, I turned my phone back on. 43 missed calls, 62 texts, 3 voicemails. I listened to the first one. Her voice was shaky, barely audible. Please come home. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what else to say. Just please. I deleted it. The second one was angrier. You can't just leave like this. We need to talk. You owe me that. The third one was quiet, resigned. I guess you're not coming back. I don't blame you. I wish things were different. I deleted that one too. Then I scrolled through the texts. Most of them were variations of the same thing. Apologies, explanations, promises that it wasn't what I thought. But one of them, sent late Saturday night, made me stop scrolling. He's gone. I told him not to come back. I chose you. I've always chosen you. I stared at it for a long time, trying to figure out if I believed her. Then I put the phone down and went to take a shower. When I came back, there was a new text. Your mom called. She's worried. I didn't tell her anything, just that you were working late. I sat on the edge of the bed, water dripping from my hair onto the carpet, and typed out a reply. Don't talk to my family. Her response came back almost immediately. Okay, I'm sorry. I turned the phone off again and lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long I could stay in this room before I had to face the rest of my life. Monday morning, I checked out of the motel and drove to work. The office felt surreal. People smiled at me in the hallway, asked about my weekend, complained about traffic. I nodded, made the right sounds, sat at my desk and stared at spreadsheets that refused to make sense. Around noon, my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Your wife says you've been staying late at the office. Don't work yourself to death, sweetheart. I set the phone face down and went back to pretending I could focus. That afternoon, I got an email from our bank. A fraud alert. Someone had tried to use our joint credit card at a restaurant downtown. The charge was declined because it exceeded our daily limit. I pulled up the account details. $300. Saturday night. A place I'd never heard of. I called the bank. The representative confirmed the charge attempt, gave me the name of the restaurant, and asked if I wanted to dispute it. No, I said. I'll handle it. I hung up and searched for the restaurant online. Italian. Upscale. Candlelit photos on the website. Reviews mentioning romantic ambiance and live piano music. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, trying to imagine her sitting across from him, laughing over wine she charged to our account. Then I forwarded the fraud alert to my personal email and deleted it from my phone. That night, I drove to my brother's place instead of the motel. He opened the door in sweatpants and a faded band shirt, took one look at my face and stepped aside without asking questions. Couch is yours, he said. Beer's in the fridge. I dropped my bag by the door and sat down. He handed me a beer, sat in the chair across from me and waited. She's been seeing someone, I said. He nodded slowly. How long? Few months, apparently. You sure? I walked in on them. He didn't say anything for a while. Then he leaned forward, elbows on his knees. What are you going to do? I don't know. You need a lawyer? Probably. I know a guy. Good one. Handled my buddy's divorce last year. I took a long drink and stared at the wall. I keep thinking maybe I'm overreacting. You're not. She says they're just friends. They're not. I know. He stood up, walked to the kitchen and came back with another beer. You want my advice? Not really. I'm giving it anyway. Don't go back there until you've figured out what you want. Not what she wants. Not what's easiest. What you actually want. I nodded. He clapped me on the shoulder and headed toward his bedroom. Get some sleep. We'll figure it out tomorrow. I didn't sleep. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every excuse, every time she'd told me I was imagining things. Around 3 in the morning, my phone buzzed. A text from her. Please talk to me. I can't do this anymore. I turned the phone off and closed my eyes. The next morning, I went back to the house while she was at work. I parked down the street, walked up to the front door and let myself in. The place smelled different. Cleaner maybe, or just unfamiliar. I went upstairs and started packing. Clothes, toiletries, the watch my grandfather left me, the photo albums from before we got married. I was halfway through the closet when I found it. A shoebox tucked behind her winter boots. I pulled it out and opened it. Inside were dozens of receipts. Restaurants, hotels, a jewelry store, all dated within the last 4 months. And underneath the receipts, a stack of printed text messages. I sat down on the floor and started reading. They were all from him. Sweet, familiar, the kind of messages you send someone you're building a life with. Can't wait to see you tonight. You looked beautiful yesterday. I'm so glad I found you. And her responses, just as warm, just as intimate. I wish we didn't have to hide. Soon, I promise. I love you. I stared at those last 3 words until they blurred. Then I put everything back in the box, closed it, and carried it downstairs. I set it on the kitchen counter, grabbed a notepad, and wrote a single line. Found these. We need to talk tonight. I left the note on top of the box and walked out. When I got back to my brother's place, he was making coffee. How'd it go? Left her a message. What kind of message? The kind she can't ignore. He poured me a cup and slid it across the counter. You ready for whatever happens next? No. Good. That means you're thinking straight. My phone stayed off all day. I went to work, sat through meetings, answered emails, and pretended everything was normal. But around 5, I turned it back on. 23 missed calls, 15 texts. The first one was frantic. Where did you find that box? We need to talk right now. The next few were angrier. You can't just leave something like that and disappear. Call me. Then they shifted. Okay, I get it. You're upset. But this isn't fair. You don't understand the whole story. And finally sent an hour ago. I'll be home at 6. Please be there, please. I looked at the time. 5:45. My brother looked over from the couch. You going? Yeah. Want me to come with? No, but thanks. He stood up and walked me to the door. Call me if you need anything. I mean it. I nodded and left. The drive back felt longer than it should have. Every red light, every slow car, every turn stretched out like the universe was giving me one last chance to change my mind. I pulled into the driveway at 6:15. Her car was already there. I sat in mine for a minute, hands on the wheel, trying to steady my breathing. Then I got out and walked to the door. She opened it before I could knock. Her face was pale, her eyes red and swollen. She'd been crying for hours. "Come in," she said quietly. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. The shoebox was still on the counter, the note sitting on top of it. She stood on the other side of the kitchen, arms wrapped around herself, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Where did you find it?" she asked. "Does it matter?" "I guess not." She walked over to the counter, picked up the box, and held it against her chest like it might protect her from whatever came next. "I didn't mean for you to see that, obviously. I was going to tell you." "When?" She didn't answer. I leaned against the door frame, keeping distance between us. "How long have you been in love with him?" Her breath hitched. "I'm not. The texts say otherwise." "Those were, I don't know. I was confused. I didn't mean them." "Which ones didn't you mean? The ones where you said you loved him? Or the ones where you said you wished you didn't have to hide?" She set the box down, her hands shaking. "Both. Neither. I don't know. It felt real at the time, but it wasn't. It was just an escape." "From what?" "From us." The words hung in the air, heavy and final. "From us," I repeated. "From feeling invisible, from feeling like I didn't matter anymore." "So you found someone who made you feel like you did?" "Yes, and you kept him a secret. Because I knew you'd react like this. Like someone who just found out his wife's been lying to him for months? Yeah, guilty." She wiped her eyes, her voice breaking. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Too late." I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but it's over now. I ended it. I told him not to contact me again. Saturday after you left." "Why?" "Because I love you. Because I don't want to lose you." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone I didn't recognize anymore. "You already did," I said. She stepped closer, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. "Don't. Please, just listen." "I've listened enough." "No, you haven't. You've read texts. You've seen receipts. But you haven't heard me." "What's left to hear?" She took a breath, steadying herself. "It started at that work thing, the networking event in March. You couldn't come because you had that presentation the next day. The one where I met him." "Yes." "And you what? Exchanged numbers? Made plans?" "We just talked. That's all it was at first. He listened. He asked questions. He made me feel like I mattered." "I make you feel like you matter. You used to." The words landed like a punch. "When did I stop?" "I don't know. Gradually. You started working late, coming home exhausted. We stopped talking about anything real. We just existed next to each other. So instead of telling me, you found someone else." "I didn't plan it. It just happened." "That's not how this works. You made choices. Every time you texted him. Every time you lied to me. Every time you let him into our house." Her face crumpled. "He was never in our house. He was here Friday wearing my clothes." "That was the first time. The only time." "I don't believe you. It's true. The receipts go back months. Restaurants, coffee shops, we met outside. And the hotels?" She looked away. "Answer me." "Twice." "When?" "April and June." I felt something inside me go cold and still. "Where was I?" "The first time you were at that conference in Denver. The second time you were visiting your parents." "So you planned it. You waited until I was gone." "I didn't plan anything. He suggested it. I said no at first. But then I wanted to feel wanted again." "You are wanted by me." "Not like that. Not the way he looked at me." "How does he look at you?" "Like I'm the only person in the room. I used to look at you like that." "I know. And you threw it away." "Which marriage? The one where you tell me the truth? Or the one where you lie to my face and sleep with someone else? That's not fair." "None of this is fair." She sank into a chair, her hands covering her face. "I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to own it. All of it. Not just the parts that make you look like a victim." "I'm not a victim." "Then stop acting like one." She looked up, her eyes blazing. "You think this has been easy? You think I enjoyed sneaking around? Lying to you? Hating myself every time I came home? Then why did you keep doing it?" "Because for a few hours I got to feel like someone other than the wife you forgot about." "I never forgot about you." "Yes, you did. You just didn't notice." I stood there, staring at her, trying to find the person I married somewhere in the wreckage. "When did you decide I wasn't enough?" "I never decided that." "You did. The moment you kissed him. The moment you told him you loved him. You decided." "Those words didn't mean what you think they meant." "Then what did they mean?" "I don't know. I was caught up in something that felt good and I didn't want to let it go. Even though it meant destroying us. I thought I could keep both." "You can't." "I know that now." "Too late." She stood up, her voice breaking again. "So that's it? You're just done? 8 years and you're walking away without even trying?" "I'm not the one who walked away. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is double booking dinner plans. This is betrayal. And you kept it going for months. And you only stopped because I found out." "That's not true. I ended it Saturday, before you even left that note." "Why?" "Me. Us. There is no us anymore." She crossed the kitchen, standing close enough that I could see every detail of her face. The exhaustion, the regret, the desperation. "There can be, if you let there be." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because every time I look at you, I'll see him." "Then don't look at me. Just stay. Just give me a chance to fix this." "You can't fix this." "I can try." "It's not enough." "What is enough? What do you need from me?" "I need you to have not done this in the first place." Her shoulders sagged. "I can't go back and undo it." "So what do we do?" I looked around the kitchen, the counter where I'd left the note, the table where we used to eat breakfast together, the window where I'd stood Friday night, watching her dance with someone else. "I don't know yet. Can you at least stay here tonight? Can we just talk?" "We are talking. Not like this. Not with you standing by the door like you're ready to run." "I am ready to run." "Please don't. Because I need you to understand that I'm not the villain here. I made a horrible choice. I hurt you. But I'm not some monster who set out to destroy our marriage." "Then what are you?" "Someone who got lost. Someone who made the wrong turn and didn't know how to get back. And now? Now I'm asking you to help me find the way." I shook my head. "That's not my job anymore." "It's always been your job. That's what marriage is. Not when one person stops showing up. I was always here." "No, you were here physically, but the rest of you was somewhere else. With him." She flinched. "I ended it. Doesn't that count for anything?" "It counts for something. Just not enough." "What would be enough?" "I don't know. Maybe nothing." "So you're giving up." "I'm protecting myself." "From what?" "From trusting you again and getting destroyed when you do this a second time." "I wouldn't. You said that before. You said vows. You promised me things, and then you broke every single one. People make mistakes. Not like this." She turned away, gripping the edge of the counter. "I don't know what else to say. There's nothing nothing left to say. There has to be. There isn't. She spun back around. So what happens now? You move out? File for divorce? Pretend we never happened? I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I need more than that. I don't have more. She grabbed the shoebox, holding it up like evidence. These receipts. These texts. You think this is who I am? You think this defines me? It defines what you did. It defines a few months, not 8 years. Those few months erased the 8 years. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. Every memory we have is tainted now. Every moment I thought was real, I'll wonder if you were thinking about him. Every time you said you loved me, I'll question if you meant it. I meant it. Every time. Even when you were with him? She hesitated. That's what I thought. It's complicated. It's not. You either loved me or you didn't. I loved you both. The words hit like ice water. You loved us both. At the same time. How? I don't know. I just did. That's not love. That's selfishness. Maybe, but it felt real. Which part? All of it. I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying, trying to reconcile the woman I married with the stranger standing in front of me. You can't love two people like that. Not honestly. Because love requires commitment, and you can't commit to two people at once. I was committed to you. No, you were committed to not getting caught. She flinched again, harder this time. That's not true. Then why did you hide it? Why did you lie every single day? Because I knew you'd leave. So you stayed because you were afraid of being alone. I stayed because I didn't want to lose you. You lost me anyway. Not yet. Yes. The moment you kissed him, the moment you chose him over me, I was already gone. You just didn't notice. She sank back into the chair, her face in her hands, her whole body shaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Then why won't you forgive me? Because forgiveness doesn't fix this. It doesn't undo what you did. It doesn't make me trust you again. It's a start. I don't want to start. What do you want? I want to not hurt anymore. I want to stop replaying every lie you told me. I want to stop wondering if you're thinking about him when you look at me. I'm not. You were an hour ago when I walked in. She looked up sharply. What? Friday. When I came home early, you were dancing with him, laughing, wearing my hoodie, looking happier than I've seen you in years. Her face went pale. You were there? I watched through the window. Why didn't you come in? I did. Eventually, you just didn't notice. I don't understand. I walked in, saw you together, took off my ring, and left. You left your ring? On the counter, right where the shoebox is now. She looked down at the counter, then back at me. I never saw it. Because you were too busy with him. I would have noticed. You didn't. Where is it now? I don't know. Maybe he took it. Maybe you moved it. Maybe it's still there and you just never looked. She stood up and started searching the counter, moving the shoebox, checking under papers, opening drawers. It's not here. Where did it go? Does it matter? Because that ring meant something. To me, not to you. None of this is fair. But here we are. She stopped searching and looked at me, her eyes desperate. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to fix this. There has to be something. I'll do anything. I don't want anything from you. Please, no. I'm begging you. Doesn't that mean anything? She walked toward me, reaching out. I love you. I still love you. That has to count for something. I stepped back. It counts for what it is. Words. Just words. They're not just words. They are when your actions say something different. They say exactly that. Yes, because if you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have kept doing it. You wouldn't have looked me in the eye every single day and lied. I was trying to protect you from this, from the pain you're feeling right now. You didn't protect me. You just delayed it. She collapsed back into the chair, her face crumpling. I don't know what else to say. Then don't say anything. I have to. I have to make you understand. I understand perfectly. You were unhappy. You found someone else. You chose him over me, and now you regret it because you got caught. That's not what happened. That's exactly what happened. I chose you. I ended it with him. I chose you. After months of choosing him, after lying to me every single day, after letting him into our house, into our life. So don't stand there and tell me you chose me. You chose yourself. And when that stopped working, you chose damage control. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face, and said nothing. I turned toward the door. Where are you going? Somewhere else. When are you coming back? Please don't leave like this. There's no other way to leave. We can work through this. People do it all the time. Maybe they do, but I can't, because I don't want to. That's not a reason. It's the only reason that matters. I opened the door and stepped outside. She followed me onto the porch. Please, just one more chance. That's all I'm asking. I looked back at her, standing there in the doorway, looking smaller and more broken than I'd ever seen her. You already had your chance. You had 8 years of chances, and you threw them all away. A mistake you repeated every single day for months. Then you know why I can't stay. I walked to my car, got in, and started the engine. She stood on the porch, watching me, her arms wrapped around herself. I put the car in reverse and backed out of the driveway. She didn't move. I shifted into drive and pulled away. In the rearview mirror, I watched her sink down onto the steps, her head in her hands. And then I turned the corner and she disappeared. I drove until the familiar streets turned unfamiliar. No destination in mind, just movement, distance, anything to put space between me and that house. The ring was still gone. She'd searched for it like it mattered, but it didn't change anything. A symbol of something that stopped being real months ago, maybe longer. I wondered when exactly it happened, when she stopped being the person I married and became someone I didn't recognize. My phone buzzed. I didn't look. It buzzed again and again. I pulled into an empty parking lot and turned off the engine. Sat there in the silence, staring at the dashboard, trying to remember the last time we were actually happy. Not just going through the motions, not just coexisting, actually happy. Nothing came. Maybe that was the real tragedy. Not that she'd found someone else, but that we'd lost each other long before he showed up. She was right about that part. We'd stopped talking, stopped trying, stopped noticing each other. But I never stopped being faithful. I never lied. I never invited someone else into the space that was supposed to be ours. The phone buzzed again. This time I looked. 23 messages, all from her. Apologies, explanations, promises. I deleted them without reading past the first line of each. Then I blocked the number. Not out of anger, not even out of hurt anymore. Just just out of necessity, because if I kept that door open, even a crack, she'd find a way back in, and I'd let her. And we'd do this whole thing again in 6 months or a year or however long it took for the pattern to repeat. I started the car and pulled back onto the road. Behind me, the city lights blurred together. Ahead, everything was dark, but at least it was mine.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.